You want me to do it? I can do it this week. Okay, ready?
Ready.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Book Boozled Tuesday. We are here to talk about the last book in the Hades Persephone series by Scarlett and Clair, A Touch of Chaos. But before we dive into that, Kat, how are you doing?
Just dandy. Post-fourth excitement, right? How about you?
Oh, just the same. Getting used to having to be back at work for a 5-day week. For everybody listening, Kat and I were together for the 4th of July. Me and my husband went up and stayed with her and her husband, and we had the best time. I think I said I was going to try and do some content, but we really stayed off our phones for a couple days. So we just enjoyed some friend time. So sorry. We'll do a trip for content later, but we just wanted to catch up for a couple days.
My fault. I'm never on my phone, so I encourage less phone usage.
Yes, we were out and about. But we had a great time. Hope everybody had a safe and wonderful 4th.
Well, let's get into the non-spoiler version, and let's go ahead and let people know. If you guys have not read any of the Hades and Persephone series, then this episode will probably be a short intro for you, but if not, you might want to go backwards, start from book 1, and then catch up to us later. But it's a great series. I'll go ahead and let you know next week we're doing Blood Kingdom, which Kat, remind me the author.
Her name is Kate Cunningham.
So we'll do Kate Cunningham's Blood.
Yes, the Blood Kingdom. It is I think it's her first book. I actually have it over there. Do you want me to
get into it real quick?
Yeah.
So this book I thought was really good. I felt like it was a lot in a short book.
It was.
It was very much like the ending of a Sarah J. Maas series where it's like everything's squished in one book.
Squished into the last 100 pages.
Quick read.
Yes. Yes, I flew through this book. It was, I think, probably my favorite of the series. Like I said last week, I'm a big action girly, and this is where it all comes together. So she leaves it a little open at the end, but that's just because she's got this is the final book of Hades and Persephone, but she will be writing about another couple. So she kind of left it open. So you have to continue reading to kind of see how everything settles after the ending of this one. But I really liked it. I did fly through it. It's almost 600 pages, at least my paperback copy is, but it really didn't feel like it. I feel like I've finished it in about 2 days.
I agree with that. Super quick, you really get most of the battle scenes for the whole series in here. So it's a really great book. If you haven't read it or any of the series, go ahead and go backwards and read it. This one will be hard to not do a spoiler version since it is the end of what is this, book 5 of the series?
4.
Anyways,
yeah.
Go check out the other 34 books if not. But I think it's time to get into it. What do you think, Kat?
I think I'm ready. I am ready to dive into this. So we jumped straight in right where the third one left off. Right there down in the underworld. And Theseus has released the Titans. And so Persephone is down there alone with Hecate. She has just killed her mom. She's not processing, obviously. And Hades is still missing. So it is really up to her and Hecate to stop these Titans from getting loose into the world.
And Queen Persephone does stop them. Changes the mountain a little bit. Makes it a little shinier, almost a little...
Yes.
Like, what's his...
Obsidian?
Upper world. It looks like the nightclub.
Yes. Yeah.
Inequity. That's what it is.
Inequity. Yes. Yes. So, she captures the Titan in the mountain.
In the labyrinth.
Yes, and Hades is still in the labyrinth. But yeah, so she she's now married to Hades, so she now can access all of the underworld's magic. So that is kind of, she's still, this girl is still trying to figure out her magic, but she gets it kind of at the last minute, and the rest of the underworld is trying to help the souls get into it. Cerberus turns into, the three-headed dog instead of the three Dobermans running around. So they're all battling it out until they are finally able to stop. But they were not able to contain Prometheus or Kronos. And Kronos is the father of the big three, Zeus, Poseidon, and Hades.
And then we get to go into where we're finding Hades in the labyrinth, which very interesting to get there. There's a couple dream sequences where Hades and Persephone are together. Gets a little spicy.
A little spicy, yes.
And we find Dionysus, and Eridine, whatever you want to say, however you want to say them. It's been a debate between Kat and Kat on how you say it.
We're going back and forth on some of these names. That's okay.
And so we wrangle the help of Eridine and Dionysus to get to Hades, because Eridine and Dionysus were once locked in the labyrinth. But just to make things even twisty-turvier, because we can't do one task at a time.
No, never.
Eridine's sister is Theseus' unwillingly bride, and
yes,
we find out in the book, pregnant wife with a baby on the way. So Dionysus goes to
English is hard. That's okay.
That's my day. Goes to rescue Eridine's sister from Theseus while they rescue Hades from the labyrinth and distract Theseus.
Yep.
Whole twist and turn. We end up getting Hades out. It's a whole thing. A couple of the demigods come to capture Persephone, and she buries them under a mountain of rubble and all kinds of things. But we end up getting out, which is great. But now we have two people with a lot of trauma, and they're not working through their trauma. And that's when Hades finds out that Persephone's killed her mother, and she is yet to cry about it or yet to face it. And Hades is now scared shitless that he's gonna lose Persephone, even more so than he was.
Yes.
Persephone's not scared shitless she's gonna lose Hades. So
yes,
we get a very interesting topsy-turvy world.
It is. They are very much. I mean, we've gone through this whole series. They have not been the best at communication. They're figuring it out. They're getting better, but I still think they both. Reading how both they are so scared of losing the other. I think if they just, if they just talked a little more, if if Hades was like, look, we need to talk about this. Persephone was like, I'm not going anywhere. I'll deal with it when this is all over, because they have a lot to deal with. Once they get out of the labyrinth, all of New Athens has separated from the mainland. It is surrounded by the ocean, which is Poseidon's realm. So he is keeping anybody from being able to teleport in there. It is a whole disaster that they kind of have to put personal emotions into a little bit of a little holding space while they go and deal with this war that is now at their front door.
Well, and to get to that point, they were trying to trap Theseus in another set of games that he ends up trapping them in pretty much and setting, everything as part. And that's when he shows that he has Zeus, and he shows that he can kill people like Apollo, which is so disheartening.
That was so sad.
But
so sad.
You know what? I'm glad that Apollo and Persephone are friends now, because it's not like Apollo really had friends outside of Persephone.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like he's losing his whole life. I mean, his life just continues in the underworld. Yes.
We learned in the second book, he's wanted to be dead for a long time. So he is at peace. But these death games where they're celebrating the death of one of the gods, and then Aphrodite's favored, that is when Theseus kills Apollo. It's when Hermes loses the race and is embarrassed, and they know now that Hermes doesn't have his powers. Aphrodite still doesn't have hers. And Zeus is in a big old net hanging in the sky. And I think before Did we find out, he killed Hera? Hera's dead first. After the games. Okay.
Because remember, Hera turned that one person that shouted death to all the gods. She made his tongue a serpent. And
yes.
She was sitting on the throne.
Yes. You are right. You are right. I'm getting ahead of myself.
Kronos. Yeah, you went to the straight end.
I know. So the games are a nightmare.
Yeah.
And that is when Hecate
says, here is your daughter, right? Daughter-in-law, I guess. And gives her up to be killed by Kronos. And he says, yeah, you just get a favor now. You don't get me on your side. Good luck, buddy.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. Yeah. It was a wild ride because during the games as well, in the chaos of Apollo and the fighting that ensures after that, everybody kind of looks up. Hermes figures out he's got his magic back. Aphrodite's got her magic back, and everyone's like, what the heck happened? And Zeus is full on dead, missing his heart. And then we later find out that our boss bitch, Hecate, killed him. She was like, always take the organs first. That girl's got Zeus's heart in a jar.
I just want to know more about Hecate.
I know. I want her to have a book. She'd be phenomenal. She's just,
I mean, for too much. You know, like it would be a little concerning.
I feel like her story's probably fascinating, actually, because she's been alive longer than all of them because she was a Titan.
Yeah.
So she's been bebopping around for a very long time.
We get to the end, and Hades gets to kill Theseus while Persephone traps up Kronos, though, which is great.
Yes.
Mom and daddy.
Yes, everybody's, yeah. And of course, you know, it ends happily, or as happily as it can. They win.
Persephone gets crowned queen, actually.
Yes.
Nation crowned, not just name only.
Yes, she's queen. And I mean, it leaves it open. Now I don't feel bad saying this, but her next series is going to be about Aphrodite and her husband, Hephaestus. And so that is
victory because their dynamics, the whole book series have been interesting. They both love each other, but they're not telling each other they love each other. But
yes.
Like, they want favor with each other, but like they're not talking or doing marital affairs.
Yeah, they have a ridiculously confusing situation going on. They love each other. They won't admit it. But Scarlett on her Instagram did mention that the reason she doesn't wrap up all of New Athens, because at the very end, you're like, who's in charge? What's happening now? Did they get the land back to the land? Like, none of those questions are answered. So if you're wanting a bow,
who's not?
Yeah, you're not getting a wrapped up bow of everything. You're getting a bow of Hades and Persephone finally being happy together. But the next series about Aphrodite is going to get into their relationship, and then it'll also show us kind of what happens to New Athens after the war. But it was a wild ride. I mean, they did some battling. In the beginning, there was the big war at the end. You get to see Prometheus, one of the people who escaped from Tartarus, fight Kronos, which I thought was really cool because Prometheus' story is that he's the one that stole fire from the gods, brought it down to Earth, and Zeus punished him because he was scared of humans getting independent. So Prometheus really does not give two flying Fs about the gods, the Titans. He is mainly there to protect the humans. And so he's fighting Kronos because he's like, Kronos is just going to kill everybody.
In technicality, Theseus was too, because Theseus was just walking into temples and having people slaughtered.
Mm-hmm.
Beliefs.
Yeah. But I think Prometheus probably was just like, Kronos might be a little bigger of an issue that I can deal with since we're both just trapped in Tartarus for a bajillion years. But it was just really good. I mean, the ending, I think, just because I'm me, I could have done with a little more battle. I feel like we watched them all go up. We watched a little bit of battle, but the big battle was Hades tricking Theseus. There was no big fight. It was very much a trick.
I felt like it just started out of the blue. Like, we had all this planning leading up the whole book, and then all of a sudden it gets going because Artemis loses her cool. Like, I don't, you know.
Yeah, so obviously Artemis now is joining their side because one, Zeus is dead, and two, Theseus killed her brother. So she's like, all right, time to fight. And Athena's back. Everybody's fighting for the same side now, even though they all kind of still hate each other.
But we didn't really get to how they got to the same side either.
No, the only one we saw was Artemis, which is like, well, my brother's dead. So, like, obviously I'm on your side. I think Athena dropped down because she was just like, well, now it's us versus them. But we don't really figure out what goes on with, like, Ares after he stabbed Aphrodite at the end of the last book. Like, we don't see, and I guess that hopefully will be covered in the next series. But yeah, I mean, you're right. We kind of jumped around a little bit at the end.
I felt like the end was very hard for me to stay in this series because I was like, well, what's going on with Dionysus? Is this happening at the same time? Like, the timeline weren't really connecting to me towards the end a little bit.
Yeah.
It was really frustrating for my little ADHD brain who's also doing other things outside of the book.
Yes.
So I had a hard time kind of like, where are we? Like, what is going on? Like, is Dionysus rescuing Medusa at the same time that New Athens is already, going down, but like his chapter was already done with rescuing her. So I guess I kind of already thought that they were already back.
Yeah.
Never really got like a ton of information on the Menons. Like, did they survive?
Yeah. A couple of them did. Yes. So when, the island, if you've read the book, that
quote unquote
all the
survived, though, we didn't get really an understanding if they healed.
Yes. Yes, because when the earth separated, Dionysus was not on it. He was off doing other things. Oh, he had to go find the body of that mythical creature, and that's when he's abducted by pirates. And so he and Medusa, he and Medusa
the whole time and ended up being right next to her tied up.
Yes. So there are both. He finally finds Medusa after this 3-book long search, and so he's trying to get Medusa back to New Athens, but that's when he realizes he can't transport. But when
to him, because he just kind of was watching it float in the middle of the ocean on the side. Unless I missed it.
They eventually make it back. They do. But we don't get a whole lot of, like, Medusa's. We don't really see a whole lot go on with her because she, one, is only useful when she's decapitated. So they're trying to keep her from being decapitated, so she's kind of tucked away for the rest of the book a little bit.
But I also just feel like it was kind of a pointless side task if, it just didn't seem like it added to the book, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think it was, we did need it to have it wrapped up because it had been talked about a couple times. And I think the whole thing was just beating Theseus to Medusa because Theseus would have lobbed off her head immediately and started using her head to turn people to stone. So I think it was more of a preventative thing, but in the end, it didn't really matter because Theseus was attacking anyway. But maybe we'll get more of her later. I have no idea.
Not my favorite ending. I kind of still feel a little like in the chaotic moment. I reread the last chapter before recording today, and I'm still kind of like back up.
Yeah.
Read that a little bit slower.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But no. Oh, so I'm flipping through right now, and a couple other just like side quests that we got.
I also Hermes' shoes. Did Hermes' shoes go back to Hermes?
I have no idea. No idea. Yeah, so Dionysus had the flying shoes. They went. Did they get the fleece? Was them getting the fleece from Ares in this one or at the end of the last one? I cannot remember.
It was in this one, I think. But You know what? They talked about.
Yes, it was in this one because Hades got stabbed by Theseus, and so they have to go to Ares Island. Like, there were a bunch of side quests that were fun.
So, but what I didn't get wrapped up was they talked about it turning the Golden Fleece into arrows for the battle.
Yeah.
But did they actually do that? They never confirmed if they did that or not.
Yeah, they did, because Persephone was stabbed with the venom from the Hydra, and Artemis. Artemis is in charge because she, you know, she's got the bow and arrow. Her and Apollo. But so she was able to. She saved people who were stabbed with the poison, because Dionysus was also hit with something that he needed the fleece. Everybody needed that fleece.
I guess my concern is they talked about how it was a finite resource. How did everybody get saved from it?
I think Hephaestus made enough, but it's like now it's gone. Like, they're all after this war. After the war, there are probably only a couple floating around, and those are going to become artifacts that people use, I'm sure, now. Oh, another little side part that was sad. Ariane's sister dies.
We just ghosted over that. Like, nothing happened. I mean,
she's
to have seen what. Also, this is a fair warning to people reading the book. There is a little unconsensual sex in there.
Yes, she is very clear at the beginning of the book. She's got the warnings, the content warning. So just, this one does talk about sexual violence, and then a little bit of suicide as well. So please be careful reading this. If this is something that is going to make you uncomfortable or bring up some uncomfortable feelings, skip over it.
It all happened within 2 pages.
Yes, it was all very close together. It was all very, very close.
Very short. You didn't get graphics.
No, we did not get graphics. We just got the beginnings and then the alluding to what happened. So after Theseus separates the ocean, separates New Athens from the mainland, all of the tunnels that Dionysus uses underground get flooded. And that is how Theseus finds Ariadne, her sister, and his son. And so he has them back and in his palace. And now that he has Ariadne back, not good for her. But then Ariadne's sister also decides that enough is enough for her and she can't do this anymore, and she hangs herself. So that was one devastating for Ariadne. That was very sad. And I think it was her last ditch effort of having some form of control over her life, is saying, I'm not going to go through this again.
Hold on a little bit longer.
I know. But she'd been, his captive for so long, and finally had freedom and was back, and she was like, I'm not going to do this again. And so that was devastating. That was very sad. But Ariadne in the end does get the baby. Theseus is dead, so I'm sure her, Dionysus, and that baby are going to shack up together and be a little family. I'm trying to think of other side quests. It's also just Persephone and everyone dealing with their emotions, because there are downtimes. It's not go, go, go all the time. So everybody's kind of dealing with the emotional trauma of what's happening.
There's so much happening in this book. It does feel go, go, go.
It is. Yes, it does feel very go, go, go. And it's because it takes about the first half of the book is really Hades is still missing, and Persephone is trying to find him. And the first half of the book is getting him out of a labyrinth. They go in, they get him out, and then the rest of the book, the rest of the war happens in the second half of the book. So it's only like a couple hundred pages to wrap up everything. So it was very much, Kat said it best. It's kind of like a Sarah J. Maas book. It is everything slammed into the last, and you're just absorbing as you go. It is something I think I could read again just to go back and remember all the details.
There's a lot happening.
Yes, it is a lot. So yeah, they go to Ares Island in this one, and they get the Golden Fleece because Aphrodite's sister is not healing after an attack. Harmonia is not healing. Hades isn't healing when he gets back, so they have to get the fleece to start the healing process. And that is when it is then also used and turned into the arrows.
Lots of little side things to get to
Mhm.
a 3-page, it feels like. It was more than 3 pages, but it felt like 3-page battle.
Yes, it was. The battle was very quick. But we do see, we also get to see the progression of characters. Aridine and Dionysus are finally admitting to each other that they like each other. Took damn long enough. And then you kind of see at the end, Aphrodite and Hephaestus are getting along better. So you really do get to see character arcs for a lot of our favorite characters. I'm not sure if we'll get to see Apollo as much anymore since we're kind of flipping, but I think he's happy in the underworld. He's got his lover. So they'll...
Shortly.
Yes, his lover is on...
Ready to be reincarnated.
Yes. Oh, and then Lexi.
Finish that up, yeah.
Yes. So yes, Apollo's lover, he's super excited to be reunited with him, but then it's also come up that he might be reincarnated soon. So that's going to be something hopefully we hear more of. But then our girl Lexi, she is finally finding a little bit of love with
Thanatos?
Yes, with Thanatos. And I think it is so cute. And I know she might also be reincarnated eventually, but I think they should go for it. Because maybe she'll choose to not. I think it's a choice. I don't think they're reincarnated against their will.
I don't think so. I think they choose to be reincarnated.
Communication is key, people. I feel like this is the whole thing. If you just talk to each other.
I don't know. I really like this book, but I just feel like I have more questions than I have answers.
Same. I have a lot of questions. And I think some of them will be answered in the next series. She's working on something completely different right now, so I do think it's going to be a minute. But I think if I went back and found time to reread it, I could probably pinpoint some things that I've forgotten, and I'm sure you've forgotten. It's been a minute since I read it.
It's been a 4th of July minute.
Yes, it has been a minute, but it's still, I really liked it. I really recommend the series. I think you get to see a lot of cool, because, Greek mythology is not always super fun to read. It is, if you go back and you read the actual stories, it's all very much taking people against their will, very aggressive, definitely not a whole lot of free will.
I really liked it. I will say it's probably not that it was finished up, because there's so much Greek mythology out there that to finish it up, it would have to take so many more series to go through first, honestly. So I do think that, give the author a little credit there. It's hard to do that something.
Yes, I think she will eventually wrap it up nicely, but it is a fun one that I think we talked about is not as creepy as the original story.
Accurate.
Yeah, it's not historically accurate. So it is a lot more fun to read.
I think I've said that every episode about this series.
Yes.
It is not historically accurate.
It is not historically accurate, but it is fun, and I highly recommend it. I do love, you get a lot of different POVs in this one too, because it's a combination of this and the Hades one she wrote. So you get Persephone's point of view, Hades, Dionysus, Theseus. So it is really cool to kind of see all the different minds working at the same time when all this is.
Hades' point up until then, I think it's really great because you really get to understand Hades a lot better.
Yes, if you can read the 3 Persephone, 3 Hades, and then read Chaos, that is how I would recommend it. But if not, it's also okay. You can go back and read it, and you could read the last one first if you want to. I would not recommend it, but you can do whatever you want.
Don't do that.
Cat's like, absolutely not. Don't do that.
That hurt. No.
I don't know. I watched a video the other night of someone was like, is like, because that viral song right now is happening, is somebody going to match my freak? And she was like, read the last chapter of every book before I start it. And I'm like, What kind of monster does that?
I do have to admit, sometimes I read the very last line.
Okay.
But
I sometimes do that on accident because I want to see how long the book is, but I don't try to do that.
sometimes I'm like, I just need to know. If things start getting a little scary for, I just need to know what this last chapter
See,
is.
yeah. Okay. If I'm in the middle of the book and I'm like, I just need to know so I don't have a heart attack sitting right here, I'll kind of flip to the end and see who's still kicking. So I get that. I very much get that.
Or the last, verbally said line, too.
Yes. Just to see who's still talking. That's hilarious. That is so funny.
Sometimes I don't know that I can finish a book if my favorite person dies. Like, there are some of those series where if my favorite person did die,
yeah,
I would be done.
Yeah. I haven't read any recently that's kind of ripped my heart out. So I'm doing good so far. I can't remember the last time I cried for a book. Probably Fourth Wing. That one got me.
Which was recent for you. That was like January, was it not?
It was like November. Yeah, it was within the past 6-7 months. That's fine. It's fine.
Okay, yeah, just tell everybody you like to cry.
I do. I cry all the time. Not really, actually. I used to cry a whole lot more. Maybe I should work on that. That's a whole other conversation. Anyway.
That was great. Lots of things to still wrap up, but lots of other Olympian stories to work with.
Yes. Hopefully we'll be able to cover her next. I would love to read. I'm sure we'll read Aphrodite Hephaestus when that comes out. That's probably going to be at least a year, so we've got some other things to do. Next up, like we mentioned, we have The Blood Kingdom by Kate Cunningham. It is a beginning of a series, I believe. I believe she's working on the second right now. I started it yesterday, and so far I'm enjoying it. So I am excited for us to discuss that next week.
Sounds great. Well, we will catch you all next week with Blood Kingdom.
Yes. See you guys then. Bye.